Good evening, young friends and the new young friends. At this point of time, I think the whole evening you've been listening to inspiring speakers, human beings par excellence, who have achieved what they wanted in life, who have dreamt, who have made choices, who have grabbed chances, and then have reached a point where they could actually come and share their achievements with all of you. What really stands out when you think of all the 6 speakers who came and spoke to all of you? What stands out is how unique, how evolved this being is, this being called the human being. And that's what we can talk about today, especially because as human beings, we have the power, we have the scope, and we have the energy to make choices that empowers not only us, ourselves, the individual, I, but also the larger you. If you notice, the topic that I'm putting in front of you beautifully summarizes what everybody said. The empowering choices they made and why they made these choices, and once they made those choices, how they walked through those choices. And that's what let's talk about. That's why I say human beings, as human beings, we are lucky, we are fortunate to have this evolved life that we have got. And if you believe in the theory of karma, after so many multiple births, where you have captured or where we have actually collected that energy, we have collected that wisdom to come back as human beings. If we do not believe in the theory of karma, just look at oneself and you see what a complete piece of perfection each person is, each individual is. And that's important. What's important therefore is, how are we different from other beings? How are we unique? I talked about all the 6 people and how unique they presented themselves to be. Well, we are unique because we have the freedom to choose. I take this from Kavi, and Kavi talks about how we live in a world of stimulus and response. That's what everything is about. I'm standing here as a stimulus for many of you. I'm wondering how you respond. When you respond to me, you respond in a way that is unique to you because you choose to respond that way. In the field of education, being here for close to 30 years, whenever I start a session, I ask my participants to take a piece of paper and write down what they choose to take away from that session. And I notice invariably, that is what they take away. Unless they do a change of course based on their self-awareness and imagination, they do a change of course based on if they are making use of their conscience because there is something that's happening over here and they would like to take away to change their life. Unless they do that change of course, they still go back with a takeaway that they chose at the beginning of the session. Freedom to choose or freedom of choice, as one of our speakers talked about earlier, is something that's unique to us. You may tell me why, but there are beings which are very complex. And let me give you the example of the bees, one of the most complex beings. And we take inspiration from them. But what of choice do they have? The queen bee has a pattern, has a particular purpose for which the queen bee is born. Can the queen bee turn into a worker bee? No. Till the queen bee is alive, repeatedly, as a pattern, it continues to do its work again and again and again, without stop, without change of course. So applies to the worker bee. But you and I, standing here, as human beings, have the option to make that choice. And let me give you an example. The example of Viktor Frankl. I'm taking you back to a very tragic point of time when the Nazis were actually killing away all the Jews. right? And Viktor Frankl was one of them who was in the concentration camp. And what happened to him? There was power, external power. There was brutality. There was cruelty, and there was tyranny, and there was hatred. That was there in the hands of the Nazis. And how did it work out on this person, on Viktor Frankl? His body was abused. His clothes were taken away. His space was reduced to such a level that he couldn't even sit up. Imagine living in a camp for years and years, a space where you cannot even sit up. You and I, if we get a middle berth by mistake, of course most of us prefer to travel by second AC, but you get a middle berth, the earlier 3 tiers, 3 levels that we used to get, we would complain. This gentleman, what did Frankl do? Frankl's body was abused by making him lie on blocks of ice to test, to do some kind of experimentation. And Frankl came out of it, and he says, and I take it from how Kavi talks about it, and he says that they can abuse my body. They can attempt to delimit my, reach to food, to sleep, to thought. But can they stop my thought? They cannot delimit my reach to thought. They cannot actually disempower my mind. And that is exactly where you and I stand as empowered beings who have control over our mind and heart. And then that is what makes us to come across and make choices that make a difference to ourselves and make a difference to others. Here I would like to bring in a different concept, the concept of Dharma. Now you might ask me, why Dharma? After all, Dharma is practiced in religion. Well, no. Dharma means duty. It has multiple concepts, multiple explanations, multiple interpretations, but it means duty. It means conscience. It means nature, inherent nature of a being, and so on. Let me tell you the story. This is a story of goddess Parvati. Parvati, as a young girl, was sitting at the river bank, and she was sitting there. She sees a scorpion trying to get onto a leaf. This is a torrential river, flooded river, and she sees that and you all know, right, scorpions cannot swim. It was trying to get onto the leaf and falling off. After she saw it twice, she made the attempt to put her palm under the water and take the scorpion. What did the scorpion do? It stung her. It stung her palm and jumped out of her hand. She put her hand again and did the same thing. Every time she tried to save the scorpion would sting her palm and jump out. Her mother, who was standing behind, said, "Why are you trying to save this being? It doesn't want to be saved." And Parvati turns back and says, "The scorpion, in the face of death, did not forget its dharma." What is the scorpion's dharma? Nature is to stay. The scorpion knows very well that if it is not saved out of the water, it's not taken out of the water, it will die. But it doesn't forget its nature. It doesn't forget its dharma. I, as an evolved being, how can I forget my dharma? I make choices based on my dharma, and my dharma is to save the dying. So when we make choices based on what we see as our duty, what we see as a purpose of our life. And I want to take you back to the famous, everybody talks about, Gita Gyan. Go back to this, the Kurukshetra, and this boy who started very young. If you remember Arjuna's story in Mahabharata, this time he stands out is when he sits in the dark room, and while all his brothers stop eating, he continues to eat. And when asked, "Why are you eating in the dark?" he says, "If I want to be different, I should be able to face all obstacles." It's the beginning. That's the beginning of this young boy. who then goes back to Dronacharya's ashram, and while others are seeing the tree, the sky, the whole bird, what is it he sees? He sees the bird's eye. Because that's what he wants to reach. That's his goal. That's his focus. 2, the same person in the midst of Kurukshetra, holding his head and saying, how can I fight with this group of people? They are my family. They are my kith and kin. They are my elders. They are my guru. How can I fight them? I cannot. I don't want a kingdom. I don't want Rajya. I don't want money. I don't want name, fame. Let me be. I'm going to go away from here. And what does Krishna say? So Krishna says that do your duty. Your duty. What is your duty? Duty is dharma. What is Kshatriya dharma for you? Kshatriya dharma is to free the world of injustice, to bring peace to people. How will you achieve it? If you run away from here, are you fighting your dharma? Go ahead and do that. If you have to achieve your dharma, if you have to achieve the purpose of your life, that is what he tells Arjuna, it's okay even if you have to face your larger family. Go ahead and do that. And that is the concept that I would like to share with all of you. Every time we make a choice, we make a choice based on our dharma. Dharma could be based on our conscious. Let's go back to the Parvati story. What would have happened if she had let go the scorpion? She would have been saved of the pain, right? But the scorpion would have died. Consequence, it would have left her with regret. And for a very long time, she would keep thinking, had I taken the pain 2 more times, maybe I would have saved the scorpion. Right? That is the consequence. What is the consequence of letting the scorpion, saving the scorpion? It's okay, I got the pain, but I get the thrill of having saved the scorpion. Life is like that. Every little step you take, every little choice you make, however small it is, even if it is as small as what you do to a pebble that you see on your way. You take a detour and go away. You see let's say you see a big stone. You may take a detour and go away, happy in your world. After all, this is not my job. Why should I bend down and do anything to that pebble? It's somebody else's job. You may look at it and hit your head and say, look, how the, GHS, whatever, the group of people who are supposed to be doing this work are not doing their work. Therefore, all these pebbles are lying on the road. Nobody is taking care of it and you may complain and go away. You may be in a very happy mode and say, okay, and keep the pebble and still go away. You may actually stop there and pick up the pebble and put it on the corner or the side of the road and go away. Every choice you made has a consequence. On yourself, on others, in many ways. If you choose to keep it to the corner of the road, anybody else who comes after that, somebody like me, who stumbles everywhere, would thank you because the road is made clean and safe for me. If you choose to not pick it up, it has an impact on the person in various steps of life. Every little choice that I have made, every time I've made a decision, I've taken action, it has impact on what happens to me and what I do later. And the same applies to all of you. So I'm talking about dharma. Let's talk about all you students here. What's your dharma? Vidyarthi? What is Vidyarthi dharma? What is Vidyarthi dharma? To study. Okay, wonderful. So how you interpret the term study is very important for you. You may tell me, Arjuna was very lucky, he had a Krishna. I don't have one Krishna for me. Okay, not to romance, but otherwise. I don't have a Krishna for me. What do I do? Where is my external Krishna? Well, the Krishna is within you. Invoke your inner Krishna. And your inner Krishna guides you the best. Guides you the best. And that is something which I feel all of us need to work on ourselves to invoke our inner Krishna. Each one of you sitting here, You might feel, oh, I am so young and all this is gyan and I may not be able to do anything about it. Not true. All of us, from the moment we are born as human beings, have the power of choice. You give milk to a child. The child chooses, the infant will choose whether to drink it or not drink it. If the child is full, there are certain infants who will leave it out. There are certain infants who will still drink it because the mother is giving it. And this has impact on what happens later in life. Well, where is the choice? I don't have the choice. What to do? Life is, there's no choice for me actually. This is something which many of us say. Option hi nahi tha. I had no option. Well, life has choice. It's up to you to invoke that choice with the help of your inner Krishna, right? And then move forward. If you do not find that, all you students over here have your mentors, have your teachers, have your parents, and so on. And look at Arjun. What did Arjuna do? Even at that mature age, he sought Krishna. He did not put hold of his ego and say, oh, I am so great, I am such a big Yodha. Why should I do this? Why should I ask anybody else? I will do what I want to do. No, he sought somebody who is his mentor. Hence, all of you sitting over here, and I do this at a ripe age of 57, when I am stuck, I seek my mentor. I seek my coach. So seek your coach. And that's when you make empowering choices. Why you make a particular choice needs to be clear for you. How you are going to implement it needs to be clear for you. And that's where all of us stand empowered. Thank you very much.